Hello. Welcome to our launch of Hindsight Creative Nonfiction's 2026 Volume 6 issue. I'm Jay Ellis in the Program for Writing and Rhetoric here at the University of Colorado Boulder. As founding faculty advisor for our journals, I'm continually amazed by the hard work of our all undergraduate staff and proud of what they've put together for this year's print issue of the parent title we publish every spring, Hindsight. This is our 20th print publication of creative nonfiction since 2013. And since we've grown beyond the Front Range, this issue again publishes CU students alongside international contributors of writing and art. I want to thank Eric Berger and my other colleagues in creative nonfiction, Sigmund Bird, Carrie Riley, and Ginger Knowlton, and the Program for Writing and Rhetoric's director, Laurie Grease, for help growing Hindsight as part of our Writing and Public Engagement minor. George Sawicki and his staff at Minuteman Press print all of our beautiful books you're holding, and funding that printing of this issue of Hindsight comes entirely from CU's Undergraduate Research Opportunity Program, whose director, Tim O'Neill, has supported Hindsight and our other titles for the last 13 years. Tonight, we're lucky to have Harrison Candelaria Fletcher as our keynote, followed by students and other writers published in Volume 6, both live and by video. You'll also get to see some of our staff up here. This year, they've developed more projects for Hindsight than ever before, leading all 26 of them. And up next to introduce you to Harrison is our editor-in-chief for the last year, Ella Catania.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Jay. I just want to congratulate all contributors of Hindsight. We have 2 here with us tonight that are CU students, so give them a warm welcome when they come up. I just want to give a special thanks also to Chris Benson, who I didn't see his face here tonight, but he's helped us with many technology issues and keeping our website up and running. And also to the 26 members of the staff. You've made this semester lovely, and we've done really great work, so I'm very proud of all of us. But before you hear from some of our contributors, I'd like to introduce our keynote speaker, Harrison Fletcher, a very accomplished author who teaches at CSU in the MFA program. He won the Colorado Book Award for Descanso for My Father, a lovely piece of work. So he's here tonight to support us and share some of his words. So thank you, Harrison, from all of us at Hindsight, and give him a warm welcome.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming out. It's a great crowd. Can you hear me okay? I don't know if I should touch this or not. Probably not. I think I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So, but yeah, thank you, Jay. Thank you, Eric. Thank you, Ella. Everybody at Hindsight. It's an amazing journal. I know how hard these are to put out. You guys, it's pretty impressive. I'm going to be a subscriber now. So thank you all for inviting me here. I'm really thrilled to be here. So tonight I'm going to read it a little bit and then talk a little bit and sit back and listen. what my job is tonight. So I guess I'm going to start off by reading a couple of sections from my first book, Descanso for My Father, for reasons I'll explain in a second. But I'm going to go ahead and jump in here and read the first few sections from a book called Man in the Box. A postcard, a faded, wrinkled, colorized street shot of downtown Albuquerque in the rosy afterglow of World War II. Indian country, the caption says. Glossy black sedans crawl like desert beetles along Route 66. The adobe facade of the Franciscan Hotel rises from the dust like an Anasazi ruin. On the south side of the street, between a typewriter shop and a flower stand, hangs a faded green sign with white block letters. Fletcher Drugs, my father's pharmacy. This image is my family's only record of the landmark, the only tangible proof it ever existed. My oldest sister found it in an antique store shoebox while browsing artifacts with our mother. I borrowed it, stole it really, because we're all stingy with his things, because there aren't enough to go around. Alone at night, 30 years after his funeral, I study the image like a tarot card. The red Texaco star, the yellow road stripes pointing east, the black silhouette on the sidewalk outside the drugstore, the man in a fedora. I can't make out his face. It's hidden in shadow, but I can see this much. He's looking forward into the camera at me. He came to my mother in dreams. He stood at our front door with his silver hair and his white smock and knocked. Always she let him in. Then they talked about her, about us kids, about anything. Usually my father visited in times of crisis, like the night before my big brother got hit by a car, or the time I tripped and fell while sleepwalking and suffered a concussion. My siblings and I weren't frightened of these dreams. Not really. We were more curious than anything. When word filtered down from one of us to the other, we listened. I'd be sitting at the dining room table eating fried potatoes, tortillas, and green chili for breakfast when my older sister would click her compact shut and turn to me. She dreamed him of again, she said. Dad. I'd glance into the kitchen at our mother, who'd set a tea kettle on the gas stove and sparked the blue flame. She'd look over at me, eyes puffy from sleep, and turn away. What'd she say? Nothing. Just that she dreamed about him again. But you know what that means, don't you? Be careful. I am, I say. I always am. I inherited the sword. Before my father died, he decided that me, not my big brother, would get the ceremonial blade from the Masonic order to which his family belonged. I was proud of my heirloom. I sneaked into the hall closet to play with it when I was supposed to be napping. I slipped the dull weapon from its tarnished sheath, gripped the wooden handle with the knight's head hilt, and ran my fingers along a blade etched with writing I couldn't read. My brother slid beside me into the cool darkness. It's not real, he said. Mom told me it's what the old Masons used to tap the young Masons on the shoulder when they joined the club. It's only for show. I didn't believe him. Didn't want to believe him. I wanted to believe that our father had chosen me as the family guardian, the protector, and to prove it, I challenged our little sister to a duel while our mother pruned the rose bushes outside. As her weapon, my little sister selected our mother's Russian olive switch. We battled up and down the hallway and she drove me back with every blow, rattling my foil so hard it hurt. When she swirled her stick like a musketeer, I jabbed her in the knuckle. I apologized, but she told on me anyway, and our mother packed away my heirloom until I was, quote, old enough to deserve it. My brother laughed and laughed, but I didn't mind. My sword drew blood. I have one memory of my father. I know it's not, I'm straddling a knee. I know it's not my mother's knee because she's standing in front of me turning the knobs on our black and white TV. I'm playing with a toy. Maybe it's a puppet, and it falls to the hardwood floor with a clack. I slide off this knee to retrieve my plaything, and a gentle hand guides me down. Then I toddle away toward the flickering light. That's that. So I'm going to shift gears a bit and talk a little bit. So I chose that piece to read tonight because I've been thinking a lot about my own years as a writer and about how we come to stories and essays and poems that we do. Or more specifically, how we come to the stories that only we can write. And for me, that's always involved a kind of haunting. Not haunting in the sense of ghosts or spirits, although that's part of it, but the ways images, memories, and voices echo and return and wait for us until we're ready to listen. I'm one of those writers who believes that you don't always get to choose what you write about. It's more often the case that if we're lucky, we find our ways to the stories we're given. We've all heard this advice: write what you know. Write what you understand inside and out so that the reader can inhabit it fully. There's wisdom in that. But I'm not sure writing, particularly creative nonfiction, works quite that way. I don't think we always know why we write what we do. Sometimes we write because we don't know, because we're trying to discover what we didn't know we knew. To write the stories that only we can write, I think you have to enter uncertainty, to step inside the places within us that might look dark or forbidden, but also hold the answers to who we are. So much of good writing, I think, comes from the courage to stay inside uncertainty. For me, that meant confronting a story I didn't want to write, a story I tried not to write, the one I just read, but one that kept inserting itself into my life until I finally asked, what did it want from me? What did I need to hear? And so this evening, I put that question to you. In your own life, what image keeps returning? What is calling to you from the edge? What have you spent years trying not to know? What within you will not be silenced? Telling the stories that only you can tell comes not only from explaining what you know, but from listening, from paying attention to the voices emerging from the silence and letting the writing itself lead. Perhaps the most meaningful work, like the writing you're about to hear this evening, begins not in certainty, but in recognizing the voices that return to us and trusting that our task is not to silence them, but to follow. So with that, I'm gonna do some listening. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Harrison. That was really moving. I found it. Good evening, everybody. My name is Casey Brengman. I'm the business manager for the Hindsight Journal, and I'm really glad to be able to share this wonderful night with so many people. So thank you all so much for coming. Before we do as Harrison said and listen and celebrate all of the work of our authors, our artists, our editors, and staff members, I'd like to take a moment of our time to thank some of the organizations and staff here at CU Boulder who have made this publication possible. Much of the support for our journal comes, as Jay said, from the Undergraduate Research Opportunities Program, also called the UROP program. We are so grateful for their generosity, and in particular, I'd like to extend a sincere thank you to Tim O'Neill, who has been invaluable in helping our organization craft our requests and acquire the resources we need to publish the beautiful journals you hold in your hands tonight. I'd also like to thank the Center for Student Involvement and the Arts and Sciences Student Government for their generosity and support. Their involvement has made this entire night possible. So I really want to offer their team a real sincere thank you. Finally, our journal and our staff, and really myself, would like to give a really special and true thank you to Melinda Slaughter, who is the Program for Writing and Rhetoric's program manager. There is rarely a crisis that we here at Hindsight experience that we don't somehow involve Mindy in solving, and she has never once not helped us solve that problem. So she's not here tonight, but I want to give her a very special thank you. With all of that said, I'd love now for us to turn to the reason we're all here, to celebrate this journal and the beautiful works that it holds inside. I'm honored to introduce tonight's first speaker, who will be joining us on video. Here is Sherry Vasquez reading a snippet of her work, Stripped. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sherry, and I'll be reading a few paragraphs from my piece, Stripped. In all new strip clubs, it's illegal to sell alcohol. You can sell time, body time, belongingness time, a shot glass worth of not being lonely time. I sell time with my smooth skin and sharp hip bones. A song's worth 3 or 4 minutes of me pulling at the darkest corners of your soul space. We count time in songs and dollars and stage sets. You can buy a bottle's worth of time. The club serves Martinelli's sparkling cider in the champagne room, the same stuff Mom used to buy for Thanksgiving and Christmas. Once past the door, you leave behind the memories of yourself, of hay-filled barns, taffy poles, whole days writing stories only your mom ever read, playing an antique violin, shaking the jar of cream until it turns to butter, cupping kittens in your 2 small palms, feeling held, feeling whole. You are a lupa, a she-wolf. Lupa, from the protein mouths and sinuous minds of humans, can also mean sexually voracious female or whore. You weave through redwoods, tongue out, tasting frost and the shadow scent of prey. Tiny tracks line the snow. Your twitching whiskers brush dead leaves. You track a meager meal and watch it scurry barren brush to burrow. Alive inside your moon eyes lies a story you don't know how to tell. Drag marks in the ground around your den, a struggle, the smell of dogs, bits of fur and crystal pellets litter the ground, so you leave. Your thinning body, the winter eating at your fat stores, whispers, desperate, proud, scavenger, hunter. You have no cubs to feed, teeth sunken in, shriveled up like Arizona creek beds. You only want to survive this one day, or 7, or forever, until your coat grows past the thickness of your packs, the ones you see through dark shed windows when you limp, tacked to splintered walls. Strippers go through a lot of baby wipes in the summer. We wipe away sweat and strangers, sun warms between each stage set. During breaks, we drink mini cans of sugar-free Red Bull and Pepsi in 20-ounce bottles and smoke Camel Crushers in front of the long mirrors. We carry plastic cups filled with Sprite to the locker room that we choke down mini banana vodkas. The house mom arrives in the afternoon and plugs in her crock pot. Between pelting husbands and bored bachelors and boys in black V-necks, the dancers fork over stage dollars and eat fried rice and glazed chicken. We slam walkers, clamp hair in straighteners, and dig through duffel bags of G-strings. The men who wait on the other side smell like icebreakers and cool wintergreen soap and mud-caked boots. They smell like chicken wings and curry and ranch and IPA. They smell like the interior of cars and the tops of microphones and of scalp beneath buzz cuts. I follow their eyes to the girls on the stage. I taste their desire, putrid and heavy. I wear smaller tops and glow-in-the-dark heels like a sign reading "Drink Me," and they topple like chess pieces. I let them untie bows and guess my real name. You're empowered, they tell me. Every night I leave cloaked in their secrets. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Lucy, and I'm the managing editor for Hindsight. This semester, our journal staff has had the opportunity to read through hundreds of submissions of creative nonfiction from many unique viewpoints, and worked hard selecting and editing those that stood out to us the very most in story, in style, and in spirit. We are lucky enough to receive contributions to Hindsight from individuals in all walks of life and from all corners of the globe, but it is always special when we get to feature authors from our own community as well here at CU Boulder. This is one of the many reasons we run a contest for undergraduate CU students to submit their prose for a chance to get published every semester. So to all the students who will be attending CU in the fall, we are currently running a $1,000 prose contest for our sister publication, Changing Skies. Not only does this competition encourage many writers among us to share their work, it also provides a great opportunity for our readers to get a taste of the wonderful writing our undergraduates have to offer. With that, I would like to welcome to the stage the first place winner of our 2026 Hindsight Prose Contest, Nina Kogan, as she reads her prize-worthy piece, Bird Call.
Thank you. Hi, my name's Nina, and this is my piece, Bird Call. I watched the deep blue of dusk roll in from the damp wooden bench of a schoolyard as I waited for the taxi. The middle-aged man renting me a room in his apartment had insisted again and again that he take nude photos of me for his photography project, cradling a camera in the crux of his right elbow. When I took my bags and left the key in his metal mailbox, he left me a message stating that I was too young and inexperienced to deal with such situations. There will be many times in life, he had written, that someone will ask something of you that you do not wish to do. Behind the school, a group of boys drinking bottles of beer laughed and danced around a makeshift campfire, their shadows blooming across the brick wall. I sat alone in the lobby of my new hostel, burrowed in the dark weight of a Western European forest, peeling back the skin of a clementine. The bitter orange scraps packed themselves under my nails. My grandmother once told me that when you peel a clementine in one piece, you can whisper a wish into its rind. Halfway through, the skin tears. I make a wish anyway, though the meaning feels distant, as it has gotten increasingly difficult to read my own mind. Any clarity was only nested within the understanding that there was some unknown absence strung across me like a sheet over an open cage. A thought of this nature knows only to follow you. There is no room for it in your palms, and there is nowhere else for it to go. It was this that I had come to ask of myself, that if the missing shape of my real life called out to me, I would answer. I would go anywhere it asked me to. On a whale-watching boat tour, I sat in the dimly lit corner of the empty main cabin littered with jackets and paper plates, looking down at the dark water. The mass appeared several times, its heavy skin twisting between wind and waves, and the boat circled back towards the shore. Along the coast, the constant downpour of rain had carved muddy divots into the earth, bogging down the purple flowers blooming from its gut. As I waited for the bus, I sat crouched on a damp wooden bench, chin digging holes in the flat of my left knee. I searched for poems between the lines of my cracked phone screen, wiping away the drops of rain falling like stones onto the words. I read the one about the crying of a nightbird through scattered trees, and the one about the man with the parakeets resting on his shoulders, and I wondered if it all came back to birds. 2 falcons circled overhead, running like children in the dim sky. I switched seats with the woman on the train who preferred being closer to the window. For 2 hours, I looked past her towards the charcoal earth scattered with moss, at the swollen yellow of the sun shyly filtering through strands of her black hair, like the first hum of morning light melting behind an open door. I had learned, throughout the quiet curiosity of the past few days, to be especially observant of passageways. A window, outlined with wooden trim, white and peeling, looking out towards a river weaving through a dense wood. An arched doorway carved into a stone wall, leading to a stained glass panel of a vulture adorned with the relics of a saint. 2 young girls running in zigzags down the long hallway of a castle, their fingers brushing gently past the grooves in the walls, dust spinning in the light. Among the distant hills, just beyond the reach of the winding tracks, sprouted quiet towns with stone houses painted in varied peeling shades of yellow, blue, and green. An old woman in a pink floral nightgown hung laundry on a clothesline suspended across the pillars of her balcony. A pair of wrinkled blue jeans, a ruffled summer dress, a child's t-shirt with the name of a local soccer team. In the shade of the cobbled street below her, a cat carefully licked the backside of its tired paw, dirtied white fur brushed by the gentle hand of the wind. The streets were lined with bicycles and swaying lines of citrus trees, lemons and oranges eclipsed by the nods of tattered leaves. I picked at the empty spots of skin inside my tattoo, thinking of the birthmark on my thigh that I had not seen since I was a child. The train moved quickly through the darkening fields, each town sinking time and time again behind the hills as they dissipated to memory. The quiet balance of life remained untethered from the passing of my shadow along stone walls, for lemons would continue to grow and fall and grow again. Dirtied shirts would always find their way back to loving hands held under the run of warm water. Tongue would continue to meet paw on shaded, rugged streets. It all wilts and falls and returns again, grass drifting backwards through knowing tracks, body lying still. This sweeping need most of all, this bitter skin. In sleep, it often visits me, a strand of fur picked up by the wind, carried over fields and hills and valleys. The familiar shape of a mourning dove adds the fur to her nest in a tall pine outside my bedroom window. As I lace up my shoes, she calls out my name, and the trill of her voice sounds just like the singing rails of a train. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Evan Rice, and I'm the online managing editor here for Hindsight, alongside my great assistant managing editor, Galileo Blanche, and then our very talented web designer, Logan Bird. Between the rich history of Hindsight and its submitters, the hard work of staff members past and present, and all others who have ever made Hindsight possible, there is an abundance of amazing and impressive work that needs to be shared. You can find past publications of Hindsight, past publications of our sister journal, Changing Skies, and past publications of our original journal, 2020, which turned into Hindsight, all on our website at hindsightjournal.org. Additionally, the website features online exclusive pieces and new episodes of the Hindsight podcast, and allows us to reach eyes and hear voices internationally. Sign up for our newsletter there and see all of this in one spot. Again, that's at hindsightjournal.org. Now it is my pleasure to introduce a video from Mohammed Ahmad as he reads his beautifully written poem, Pretty Red Poppies, from our new publication, Hindsight VI, which will soon be featured on the Hindsight website.
Hi, my name is Mohammed Ahmad, and this is Pretty Red Poppies. You shot my world into its final demise. I remember looking pretty red, like poppies, my veins sporadic, like the ones I remember faintly in that yard. Familiar blood rushes through their dark discs. Those same poppies we found in that garden near a 1,000-year-old house that felt lost. I never knew I carried similarity with an old stone building. I may be old in my mind, face still the bloody image of blue youth, but somehow I remind myself that this is all I could ever need. The taste of a sweet summer, an olive tree sprawled inviting in my midst, and your nude arms wrapped around my neck, tugging against my shoulder, you seal our vicious nights with a kiss. I wear you like my favorite necklace. I found solitude in this depression. I learned how to bask in it, to take a rest. The rest was nightmare, despite how softly I light my head after hours of laying every poppy to rest. Growing in this disturbed pasture, I woke up to my reality threatened, a cactus tree, a refusal of death. I push hard against the occupier's thumb. I plead to God, let me breathe summer sweet air again. Let me brush honey fingertips against rough branches, their stubble slicing the tips of my skin. I remember the blood looked pretty red. Sweet juice, an apricot in June, daunting thoughts speeding in my head. I may seem extravagant, ethereal, not of this world, but I'm simple, the sun and the moon. The dark thickens, I press it all behind me. a lightless sun missing its rays. Years of fragrance from pretty red poppies was never enough for me to stay, is what I mean to say. I've spent years watching the send-off of tiny bodies, wrapped in shroods, red-stained dew, dripping off poppy petals.
Thank you for that reading, Mahab and Abed. My name is Ren Hotsfeld, and I am the art director of the journal. These are my co-directors, Domo Acklin and Aaron McCormick. And I'd also, should have removed that. Our job in the art department is to bring color and life into the journal, placing beautiful works of art with equally beautiful writing. If you're interested in having your art in the journal, or you've already had your art in the journal and you want to submit to us again, please do. You can submit it on our website that Evan already advertised. We consider every piece we get, and we would love to see your work. Thank you.
Thank you, Ren. I'm Domo, and I just want to talk a little bit about why our department is so important to the journal. So we do art pairing. We pair visual artwork with submitted written pieces. And I think art pairing is super important to the journal because it can help highlight new themes and important details that otherwise wouldn't get a chance to shine. Our little department is honestly my favorite thing about the journal. All three of us are artists with different styles and ideas, and I love to see the pieces that Ren and Aaron suggest for our submitted artworks and the pieces that get chosen.
We absolutely cannot do our work without the fantastic works of writing accepted to Hindsight. All of the authors whose works are featured in this issue are instrumental to the decision-making process for our team. Like Domo mentioned, the themes, motifs, and the voice of the writing are the most important elements to choosing a good piece of art. So thank you to all of the writers, as well as all of the artists, for letting us use your impressive pieces. We literally cannot do what we do without you. So please welcome me in joining Asha Leld, reading a snippet of their piece, Peerless.
But it was a simple tale, one with a beginning and a middle and a soulless end. It contained innocence and love, and the loss of innocence to love. Love, then, the maleficent entity, the element you rooted against with blood-curdling vehemence. Love, the conqueror, subjugating the curious in its twisted glory. Love of no kind, called love still by fools, fanatics, fascists, and such others unfamiliar with the tenuous, trembling dichotomy of all things. This was her beginning, their crossroads, and his end. Breathe. But it was a simple thing.
Good evening. My name is Lily Remington. I'm managing editor of Changing Skies, our sister publication. Since its first publication in 2022, it has changed and shifted alongside our climate. Changing Skies began with the theme Writing Through the Climate Crisis. With our latest edition, published this last November, we retitled the theme A Nod to the Natural World. The premise of Changing Skies is to not only share stories of the crisis that we are currently in, but also to inspire, to remind our readers why they should care about the climate in the first place. With the restructuring of our themed journal, we are inviting writers to recenter nature in a heavily anthropocentric world. We are currently reading for Changing Skies, Volume 5, which will be coming this fall. We encourage anyone and everyone who has poetry, prose, or artwork that fits our climate forward creative nonfiction initiative that allows us to honor, to allow us the honor of seeing your beautiful work. With that, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome to the stage our second place winner of the 2026 Hindsight Prose Contest, Katie Lee, who will be reading their piece, The Sacred Rangoon.
Hi, my name's Katie, and today I'll be reading The Sacred Rangoon. 3 trays of cheese rangoons. Each tray is made up of 13 rows and 8 columns, which amounts to 104 rangoons. So that leads to a total of 312 for today. I continue to think to myself. I make new rangoons at least twice a week, refilling 3 trays each time. In that case, I have made 162,240 rangoons in the past 5 years. I hum a light tune as I fold the last cheese rangoon into its iconic 4-pointed star formation. Loudly clapping off the cornstarch stuck on my palms, I watch the snow sprinkle onto the shiny steel table below. I reflect on all the rangoons I have made. According to the Japanese legend of 1,000 paper cranes, I would have enough paper cranes for about 162 wishes. Carefully placing my version of cranes into their metal trays, the crinkle of plastic reaches my ears as I wrap these flowery delights. The crinkling plastic echoes its crackly sounds throughout the kitchen until the hums of the refrigerators and grotesque grumbles of the at death's door machinery overtake these sounds. At the end of the day, I will never be able to stand before the sacred crane, or should I say, the sacred rangoon. But with focus and determination, just maybe, some wishes can become reality. The kitchen faucet uncontrollably drips as cracked and calloused fingers dance across the grease-coated calculator buttons from a distance. Father starts to sing a funny made-up tune, and we join in a short laughter. Our laughter reconnects us again after a hard day's work of bickering, yelling, and getting burned by relentless oil. Once the sun sets and the short arm rests halfway past 9 and the long arm ticks on to 30, the cleaning crew hurriedly comes out from its burrows. My sister and I nodded to each other with a new day's motivation of going home as early as possible. Although it never comes to fruition, it does not stop us from trying every single day. While listening to the swish-swash of the chemical-drenched mop swiping across the floor, I take a glance at our welcome door. The parking lot lights flicker a dull orange, and the insects mindlessly swarm the dully lit awning lights. The chime that accompanies the opening door and the electrical buzz of the dusty lights fade into the background. I've slowly come to appreciate these sounds. Whenever the chime blares, new and familiar faces step through the door. Our welcome door used to slam relentlessly onto itself, but a nice gentleman who happened to work in repairs offered to fix it for us for free. It was a small gesture, but one we appreciated, and so we placed an order of free cheese rangoons into his order as a small token of our appreciation. By sharing stories over the wait for food, the community is brought together. The conversations between people who would normally never meet, if not for a restaurant, act as supporting vocalists to the clamor of the kitchen. My hand itches to scratch graphite onto textured paper. I want to capture this moment. I can recall being about 5 years old, carrying my favorite waxy weapon called crayons. Well, I never thought of them as weapons, but they sure were according to my immigrant parents. In their absence, I often conversed with the house's silent whispers in their stead. My imagination was my only entertainer. Grasping my crayons, the white walls practically beckoned my inner artist. My early creations have faded from a bright waxy blue to a faded green, still leaving its historical mark. Mother and father scrunched their noses and crinkles formed between their brows as I saw a dim reflection of my work in their dark brown eyes. Well, color me blue. My fingertips gently traced over the repainted walls where my unlucky creations are buried deep within multiple layers of white paint. The surviving creations and fantastical cartoon characters continue to live under our dinner table. Textured papers, HB pencils, and brushes went untouched as school papers replaced them. My hands became occupied with doughy skins and ground meat. Watching the dumpling fan out, as my fingers mechanically pinched and folded, a small smile formed as I created something out of nothing. My mind wanders with the possibilities of creating, and my unwavering determination encouraged me to further explore the arts. Originally, my Chinese parents doubted all sorts of artistic endeavors. Their focus on obtaining financial security caused them to scrutinize my passion, but my passion only grew stronger, and with time, they came to appreciate and even support my artistry. I never thought they would tell me to keep drawing and keep my passion alive, the same passion that whimsically graffitied the walls of our own home. Walking with careful steps, holding the cold trays of wrapped rangoons in my arms, I'm reminded of the beginnings of my story. In seeking opportunity and security, like many other immigrants, my parents came to America, leaving their family in China. Reflecting on the struggles we have faced as a family, there is beauty in the lit-up sign of our restaurant. Perhaps I'll even draw it someday. The dim neon lights of our restaurant sign were our beacon, our own Statue of Liberty. Give me your orders, your desires, your heard request yearning for good food. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. That was wonderful. And to all our other readers and everyone who came out tonight, thanks again for Harrison joining us tonight, and to everybody coming to get this new issue. Good night.